Hello everyone and welcome. It's Shanna Makes It and I'm part of the creative team for Love from Lizi. And I'm going to be working with the March 2025 Bugs and Kisses kit. And what I'm going to be working on here is a corner tuck card. And I'm bringing in some of the cardstock from the kit. And I'm just going to cut down my card base. I'm going to cut my card base at 6 1/4 by 5 3/4. And so that's what I'm doing here. Is I've just got a panel that is 6 1/4 by 5 3/4, and I'm going to score it at 4 1/8. And then we're just going to have a nice little kind of fun fold. And this is the beginning of our card base. So I've got that ready. And then I'm also going to be making a mini card that's going to go inside of it. And for the mini card, I'm going to cut it to 5 inches by 3 3/4. And then I'm going to take and I'm going to score that at 2 1/2. This is going to be a really pretty card with lots of layers. So if you like fun folds with layers, this is going to be a fun card for you. Okay, so what I'm really doing is I'm just getting all of my base cardstock pieces cut out right now. And I'm going to do the corner tuck piece right now, and it is just 1 7/8 by 1 7/8. And I'm getting all the pieces ready. And then I'm going to bring in some white. You can see I've got my pattern paper that I've chosen laying there. I'm going to use both of those. And I'm just going to bring in a piece of white. And I'm going to bring in the inside bottom layer. And I'm going to cut it at 3 7/8 by 5 1/2. And that will go on the inside layer of the card. And then I'm going to cut, from this larger pattern, I'm going to cut the pattern for the inside. And it is 3 3/4 by 5 3/8. And you'll see that'll layer up nicely on the inside of that. And we'll lay that in there. And now we're going to work on the layers and the pattern paper for the outside of the card. And so that front panel is going to be 1 7/8 by 5 1/2. And that'll go on the outside there. And next we're going to work on the pattern paper for that layer. And it is going to be 1 3/4 by 5 3/8. And I'm going to use this smaller print pattern for that. And so we're going to have 1 3/4 by 5 3/8. And those will layer up nicely together, and that's going to go on the outside of the card. Now on our mini card, we're going to have 2 1/4 by 3 1/2 is going to be our layer. And we're going to have two of those, one for the outside and one for the inside of this card. And then we're going to have a pattern layer at 2 1/8 by 3 3/8. And I did two of them. You wouldn't necessarily have to do two because you could just put wording on the inside. I don't know. You don't need to do two. And I don't know why I did two, but I did. So it's going to have plenty of layers. And now I'm going to work on that corner piece. That corner, the layer of pattern paper is going to be 1 5/8 by 1 5/8. And I actually omitted the white layer on this, and I'll go back and fix it by taking off 2/8 of an inch and adding a 1 5/8 by 1 5/8 layer. I think that's what I'm doing right now, is I'm realizing I want that white layer just like I want the other. So I'm making it 1 5/8, and then I'll take the pattern paper and cut it down to 1 3/8. That way the blue, the white, and the pattern will layer up together. But you can do this however you want. I think this is where I'm realizing that I have to take that pattern paper and cut it down so that I can get all my layers. Oh, evidently I did it already. Anyway, so we're just going to start laying these layers down. I'm just going to bring in my glue, and we're just going to start laying them down. And this will be a good, solid, thick card that I think turns out just lovely. And I'll tell you, I get a little carried away with it. So I'm getting this laid down, and then we're going to put our outside layer. I'm just using my little magnet there to hold my panel down so that I can get it glued down without kind of having to fuss with it. And we'll get that white layer laid down on there. And then our pattern paper. And this pattern paper is just gorgeous. All the little bugs. The blue and the green color scheme is just beautiful. It's a lovely, lovely kit. All of the wonderful fun things that are included in the kit are just fantastic. So I'm laying down the layer on the inside of my little mini card. And then I'm going to do it on the outside the same way. You can, layer this as much or as little as you want. I just was going for all the layers. I enjoy the layering, and I think it really makes it look pretty, and it's a good solid card. And so this is how our card's going to go. And then we've got our corner that we're going to put on the lower left-hand corner that we'll tuck our card into to hold it down. And I'm just going to get it layered up and get all my layers on there. I'm debating, since I'm laying on top of the pattern paper, do I want to use the blue? This is where I've decided that I need to cut down these layers so that they'll fit together, because I omitted the white layer when I was doing my cutting. So just to reinforce, the corner layer is 1 7/8. The white layer is 1 5/8 by 1 5/8, and then the pattern would be 1 3/8 by 1 3/8, and that's what I wound up with making my corner, just to clarify that for you. And so now we have all 3 layers on the corner, just like we do on the rest of the card base. And then you'll just, give yourself a margin on there and glue it in the corner. And I took the butterfly and the stencil set from the Bugs and Kisses, and I just colored in the butterfly and added some stickles to it to add some sparkle. And I also put some glossy accent on the markings on the butterfly. Now here's why I'm bringing in the postage stamp nested die from Love from Lizi. And this is where I get carried away. I thought, I want to use that die. And honestly, you could take this mini card and just glue it to the inside of your card base, and then it would be attached, and you would just tuck it into the corner. But because I got carried away and overzealous, I'm actually going to have 2 separate cards here, and they're just going to layer inside of each other. When I said I got carried away, this is the point in which I did that. And so I'm going to bring in my Misty, and I'm using the smaller postage stamp die, and I'm going to use the cinnamon on there, flying by to say hi. And I'm just going to kind of angle it on there, and I'm going to bring in one of the little flower stamps, and I'm going to stamp them on there. And then this will go on the inside of our mini card. And you can see all the lovely designs. And it does come with a stencil that you can stencil in, some of your flower, some of your leaves, your butterfly, some of the different little bits and bobs that are on there. And it's just lovely. I had added this die set onto my order, and so I was anxious to use it. And so I think that's where I got a little carried away with the card, but I think it turns out very nice. So I've got that stamped, and I'm just going to lay that aside and let that dry. And I'm going to stamp what I'm going to lay down on the inside of the bigger card. And I'm going to use Sending Bugs and Kisses Birthday Wishes. And I think that's going to be really super cute. And I'll just stack those 2 sentiments together there, and we'll just get them stamped down and get them on our panel. And so I'm going to lay my little sentiment on the inside of my card. And I just used, the nested die. And so I have some, the border around it would have been uneven. So I decided to put it toward the top, and then to bring in these Love from Lizi strips that came with the kit. These are the apple green with silver finish. And I'm just going to cut 3 strips and just add some embellishment to the bottom of that. And I think it really added a nice touch to it. And we'll just lay 3 of those down. And we used our little brand new pill-offs that are pinstripe apple green with silver. And that finishes off that little mini card, with the exception of I'm going to put my butterfly on the outside of it because it's going to be the focal point for our card. And you could see I'd stamped previously on the other side of that. And I think that's going to be lovely. Now I'm going to take the other panel and I'm going to glue it down. And this is where you could glue that mini card down there, and then they would be connected. But I didn't do that. I was overzealous, and I'm just going to tuck it with my corner tuck. And so what I'll do is I'll just glue the outside edges of that corner panel, leaving the middle of it unglued so that it creates an area for me to tuck that card in. And then this card would be a nice size that you could slip a gift card in there with it. And when they pulled it out, the gift card could fall out of the card. Would be nice. But I think it turned out lovely, even given the fact I got a little carried away. I think it turned out really lovely. But if you didn't want to do that, you could certainly just glue it, glue that panel right in there and not add another one. So we are going to make another fun fold type card. We're going to use one of those 5x7 circle window cards and that had the coordinating envelope that was included in the kit. And I've just taken a piece of purple cardstock that I've got there, and I've cut it down to 6 3/4 by 4 3/4. And I'm going to take this circle die and lay it in the window there, right where the circle is, tape it down and go to my die cutting machine and die cut a circle out of there. And then what I'm doing is I'm creating a layer for the front of my card so that it will, I'll have a little white edge around it, and my circle will be right in the center of that panel, and it'll line up just nicely. So that was the best way I could think to do it. And so now I've got the outside layer for my card, and I'm just going to get it glued up and get it laid down. Now I am going to have some of that purple showing because I'm just going to use a scrap of the pattern paper that I had left over from another card I made with this kit. I like to use as much of my kits as I possibly can, so I salvage every piece and try to fit every little scrap in. I've got a good size scrap here, and I'm measuring my card to see what size I want it to be. And I believe I go with 4.5 by, I do 4.5 because it gives me a little bit of layer. And then I'm going to measure here, and I think I go 3 3/4 on it. And then I can just lay it right underneath that circle in the window. And we're going to add some nice color to the bottom of our card front. And then, of course, I'll bring in several pieces of the ephemera that's included with the kit to kind of go around the circle and just to add some extra interest to it. So we're just getting started here on this, and I just wanted to get this panel laid on the front. Now, the second panel that I've got here is for the inside, and we're going to make like a little fun fold with it. And what I did for this was I just did it 6 1/4 by 6 1/4, and then I scored at 2 inches so that I would have just a little flap that I could put this die cut circle out on there, and it will pop up through my window. And so I'm just going to glue it halfway down on one side, careful not to get it on the card base so that I don't glue it shut. And then this will give us a landing area for our ephemera, and it will pop up, and we can have our little note underneath the little pop-up piece. And for the circle die cut, I did use the add-on bundle, which was the mirrored purple cardstock that you could add on to it, and I just die cut that out in the circle. And I'm just going to kind of look through my ephemera and decide which pieces I want to use on there. And it's funny, I grabbed what I had laying next to the thing there. I think it's a smaller version, and that's why I chose it, because I didn't have to worry about it getting caught on the card front when it was opening up. So, and I'm just going to pick out several pieces to put on the front. So I'm just going to get my lantern laid on the circle die cut piece, and we'll get it positioned, and it won't interfere with the opening and closing of it. And I'm going to bring in this big purple. This butterfly is the same that's on the pattern that I've chosen, and I'm going to kind of let it hang over my pattern paper onto the purple. And I've got some floral pieces that are the same color tone as the pattern paper that I've chosen, and I'm going to bring those in. I'm going to bring in another butterfly. I'm even going to bring in one of those blue and yellow moths. I think that'll look cute with it. And we'll just add several pieces of ephemera to the front of this and just kind of add some interest to and break up that solid blue panel that I've got there. So I've got a couple flowers, and I'm going to bring in one of the stems or leafy petals there and tuck it in as well. And we're kind of creating just a tiny little swag over the top of that corner. And then we've got our butterflies and our moths. And I'm going to bring in those 3mm gems that were included in the kit. And I'm going to lay several of those down on the other side of that purple panel just to kind of break it up and add some shine to it. And I'll lay 5 of those down on that side. And then I'm going to lay a couple more on the other side just to kind of fill in there. And so it won't be, the purple paper won't be so plain. And I think it looks really pretty. And I thought about using this With Love sentiment that was included on the front, but I decided not to do that. And then I saw another moth or butterfly that looked similar, and I thought I would add it. And then I'm going to also bring in a postage stamp nested panel and get it laid down on here, and this will be where we'll be able to leave our message. And I'm going to get brave here, and I'll actually stamp with just an acrylic block, I think, our message on the inside. And I added one of those bottles. I don't know, that's like a little jar for catching lightning bugs, or if it's a little perfume bottle or what it is, but it's really cute. There are several of those in the ephemera. And I'm just going to bring in the little flower and stamp it on there with acrylic block. And then I'm going to bring in a happy hello and stamp it as well. And it stamps up beautifully. I'm going to test it on this piece of paper because I was like, I don't know, do I want to? And I'm like, oh yeah, I got a good clean stamp first time, we're good to go. So I'll just lay that down on there, and we've got a happy hello, and we've got a really interesting 5x7 window card here. And then those are the 2 cards that I wanted to show you my process for. And then I'm going to bring in the 3rd card and show you. This is a double gatefold card with a belly band, and I used the green and gold tone paper, and I think it turned out absolutely lovely. So thanks for watching. Have a great day, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Take care. Bye-bye.